All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to go over some draping, some scalp parts, wait, that did not come out right, sorry. Some draping, some partings, some areas of the scalp and the head that we need to know about, some scalp manipulations, some combs, and just some different things like that. So that's where we're going to start. So let's get started with the draping. All right, so the first thing we have when it comes to draping there are two different types of drapes. You have a single drape and you have a double drape. So look at my pompadour, stayed pretty good from last week. It's just been sitting in here all week. So our client's sitting down. We're getting ready to do our service. We have to drape them to keep them, to protect their clothes. That's the purpose of draping. The purpose of draping is to protect your client's clothing and their skin from all of the other things that might drip or, just from anything. So we're just going to protect them. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to wash or sanitize our hands. So I want hand sanitizer over here. Okay. My hands are sanitized. Now, if this client was wearing jewelry, I would ask them to remove their jewelry, especially if it was going to be in my way. Now, I know some types of piercings they can't take out, but if they had a big clunky necklace or even like a hoodie on, because those hoods in the back, they're pretty thick. So I would ask them to kind of remove that, or I would take that hoodie and tuck it all the way down inside their back. They have a shirt with a collar. I'd lift the collar up and I would turn the collar down on the inside. And if they're wearing, earrings or something that can be removed, I'm going to ask them to remove those and to put them into their pocket or into their purse, because we do not want to have anything get lost. True story. Before we ended up having to close, I was walking around onto the stations and I was just picking up the towels that were just sitting there. It was kind of a busy day. Well, next thing you know, one of the girls comes running in the back and she says, "Did you pick that towel up that was on my station?" Because I was putting it in the washing machine. I was like, "Yeah, I did." Her client had took her hearing aids and put them in the towel, and then they closed the towel over the top of the hearing aids and set them on the station. So I'm walking around picking up towels to go put in the washing machine thinking that, that was just a dirty towel sitting there. Thank God that it was just right there on the top and she grabbed the hearing aids out of it before I actually threw them in the washing machine. That could have been disastrous. So always make sure if it's a personal item that client puts that personal item in their purse or in their pocket. If they have longer hair, lift the hair up, twist it, clip it, get it out of your way, because you do not want to put it, or you don't want their hair in the way, right? Turn the collar down or remove the hoodie. Now, when it comes to draping a client, there's several different ways that you can go about this. But there's two basic ones. It's called a single drape and it's called a double drape. Okay, single drape is the drape and the towel with an extra. A double drape is two towels, an extra, and a drape. Okay, so single, double, one towel, two towels. That part's pretty easy, I think. When it comes to the drape, we have two types of drapes. We have a cloth drape and we have a chemical drape. Okay, this chemical drape is going to be made out of a waterproof vinyl or a plastic or something like that. The liquids, if it drips or if it gets wet, it's not going to affect the client's clothing underneath it, right? Because the purpose of the drape is to protect the client's clothing. So, what?
I just joined. I joined in late because my computer was having problems.
Okay, I'll put you down.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so another thing about drapes, let's just talk about these drapes, are the sizes. Okay. Fabrics, how big they make them. Okay, they make them out of, cloth, like this is cloth, this is probably nylon. It's kind of water resistant. They have waterproof, and then they have ones that are gonna get wet. So this one's a little bit more, I don't know, this one's gonna get wet eventually. So it might be a little water resistant for like little drips, but if you were to put a hose on it, it's gonna get wet. So some of the things we wanna look at are the size. They have longer ones, they have shorter ones, they have wider ones. They have different sizes. Neck closures. This one happens to be snaps. They have Velcro. They have some that you already even see this one snaps. They have some that are like elastic, but they have little hooks that you can just hook them in. There's all different types and sizes. So know your clients. Like I have some that I call like the little lady drape because they're smaller. So they're for like smaller women. I have the kid drape. I have some that are just like average size for average size people, and then I have some that are like big and big necks for like larger people. Some more of the like big guys. So it just really depends on, you gotta have a variety eventually. You'll have a variety because just like, everything else, it's not one size fits all. Okay, so we're gonna need to really know what our drapes are made out of, our sizes, things like that, because they do come in different sizes and different materials. So that's the thing about the drapes. The towels, they're kind of like the same thing. Some towels are longer than others. Some towels are like microfiber, some terry cloth, most of them are just terry cloth. But one thing that about the terry cloth towels, if you buy them brand new and you do not wash them first, they're not going to absorb very well. You have to wash them first. I found that out the hard way too, right? It's okay, I just need it. So check the towels. If you get a towel, thank you. If you get a towel service, usually what they bring you are what they call like large bar towels, and they're so large to fit around someone's neck. So when we come in with these, do check out the towels and the way that they're made. They even have towels that are like bleach resistant, or color resistant. So that means if you like get bleach or color on them, they're not going to discolor. Whereas sometimes, a lot of the towels, if you get the just regular plain old towels and you get hair bleach on them, they're going to discolor. So do check that out also, and know what you're buying. Because I bought some that were white and I thought, oh, these are going to be easy to bleach out. Well, hair color doesn't bleach out that much, and they were like $8 for a dozen towels, and they look like washcloths. They're so small. So do know what you're buying. Do check that out. This is called a neck strip. There's different manufacturers that make these, but probably the most common one is Sanek, which is what, S-A-N-E-K, I think is how it's spelled. These things, the purpose of this was to protect the client's skin from the reusable drape. So before COVID happened, we were using these on every single person, and we could reuse our drape several times, as long as it didn't get dirty or the person wasn't like really super stinky or anything, we could reuse it a few times before we had to wash it. Now, since COVID's happened, we are using single drapes. So that means that drape gets used for one person and one person only. But the way that these neck strips was the purpose of this was to protect the client's skin from the reusable drape. So these neck strips were put around the client's neck from the front, right? We came around the back here, and we didn't tie them because we wanted them to remain full. And as we came down to the end here, there's nowhere for me to tuck it. We tucked it. I always thought it was easier to tuck it from the bottom. I thought it stayed more secure when you tucked it from the bottom than if you tucked it from the top. But if you tied it, State Board really frowned on that. And for those of you that are brand new that don't know what state board is like the beauty industry police. They're the ones that can just show up, inspect you, they can just walk through, and they make the laws and the rules for like health and safety, for, you know, disinfection and sanitation, just to make sure that we're doing everything, you know, correctly. And when they come in, if you do something that's not correct and they see it, they'll fine you for it. Because they do, they just pop in unannounced just to do an inspection. And they will fine you. I've gotten fined once in my career, and I had a water bottle like this, and I had wrote like water across it here. Like this has these initials, mine said water. And so from filling it up and, you know, using it, some of these letters kind of wore off a little bit. I mean, in my opinion, I could tell it said water. In their opinion, my labeled bottle was not clear and legible. So they fined me $50 for it. So not only did I have to pay the $50 fine, but the owner got the same fine I did. He said, I'm not paying your fine, pay your own fine, right? So I ended up having to pay $100. And it was at Christmas time. It was like the beginning of December. So it wasn't something that I was happy to have to pay, let's just say that. So ever since then, I am like on it. I do not want to get fined for anything ever again, because that's my money, not theirs. So I make sure that I don't get fined. So tuck it, don't tie it. Tying it in their mind is like choking them. Of course, you're never going to choke anybody with one of these. Look at these things are like paper. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these, but these things are like paper, right? If I went like this and tried to, it's going to rip, right? I mean, come on, there's no way you're going to choke somebody with this, but you know, we're not choking, we're tucking. Okay, so we tuck that. Then the whole idea of taking this drape is to take the drape and place it right across the Sanex strip to where it's half of this drape is on the person and half of this, and this guy is like, this neck isn't even the right size. It's all gonna slip off. I can't get it. I'll make it real tight. Okay, so as you can see, part of the Sanex strip is showing, and then we have the neck here. So this is the whole purpose of that, right? If we've got it on correctly, if we turn this all the way around, you're gonna see part of the Sanex strip showing all the way around. And that was the idea. I've heard kids say, it's itchy. And they're underneath the drape with their hands all underneath here and they're scratching and pulling it and trying to take it off because, you know, it's kind of paper, it is kind of itchy. I can see why they say that. And then the parents will tell them, no, leave it on there. It helps the hair from going down your back. And a lot of people think that, not only adults, you know, not only children, but adults do too. And they think the purpose of this strip was to keep the hair from getting on, which is not. The purpose of the strip is to keep the drape from touching their skin. But I always think it's funny when I hear them say that. No, don't scratch. And they are itchy. I will say they are kind of itchy. Now, a lot of times these get wet. And irritating, could you imagine? Because they don't just fall apart like, you know, paper. They kind of stay on there. So can you imagine sitting there with it wet after you get your hair shampooed or something, and it's like half wet, half dry sitting on your neck? Now that would be irritating. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that any time that this thing becomes soiled or it becomes wet or unusable or ripped or something, change it. Okay, just undo the drape and change it. It's way more comfortable for your client. So do we have any questions so far on this stuff? No? Okay. So I'm going to show you a double drape first. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do a double drape. And there are, you know, several different ways you can do it. But remember, the purpose of the drape is to protect the client's clothing. So, and to protect the client's skin from any chemicals that may drip on it or any hair or anything like that. So what I'm going to do first is just show you one way to do a double drape. And that would be to take the first towel and place it around, gather it by, actually I'm going to do this one first. Go ahead and put the towel over the top of the head. And remember where the bottom corners are, because we're going to gather that up. Then we're gonna go ahead and take this one and make sure that it gets placed a little bit over the back of this drape right here. Take these corners, take these front corners, these bottom corners. Where's my bottom corners? I lost them already. Try to sit, remember where they are. And bring this underneath the client. It's not gonna stay because I don't have any shoulders to put it on. And then take our drape. If I had shoulders, this would be on this towel would be on the client's shoulders. Right where it comes together, I'm gonna go ahead and place this in. And then pull this down. And now the client has a drape underneath, or a towel underneath, and a towel on the top. And see, it's secured right in here when this is clipped together. This type of drape is something that you would use for chemical services only, okay? So chemical services being a perm, a color, anything that has to do with, you know, chemicals is a chemical service, a relaxer, you know, these are chemical services. And I've heard several people say, oh, I need that towel underneath them when I do a shampoo because I'm gonna keep their back dry because the water's gonna get down their back. You're making them get more water down their back. See this big thickness of towel right here? When you lay a client back into that shampoo bowl, you want their neck right here. The shampoo bowl kind of goes like this, like a U. You want their neck, if this is the shampoo bowl, you want their neck to fit in there so that it forms a little bit of a seal so that water's not going to go down their back. You got 3 inches of towel right here, all that towel's going to do is get wet. And then it makes everything else wet. So you're actually making them more wet. And I know people will argue with me on that, but I'm gonna stand by that one, okay? That's one of those agree to disagree kind of things. But I'm standing by my opinion on that one for sure. So this is one way to do a double drape. Another way to do a double drape. Oh, and one of the cons to this is that when the client moves around, this becomes loose. And as it becomes loose, it's gonna hang off halfway down like that. And pretty soon the towel is gonna be on the ground and, you know, if they sat perfectly still, it would be just fine. But, you know, who sat still? Who can sit still for a long period of time? Not me. So the next way to do this is to take your towel from the back. You always go from the back, right? And you're gonna go around the front. Their shoulders are here. And I'm gonna take a clip and I'm gonna clip it. Now, because of the fact that I don't really have a shoulder and a body here, I'm gonna twist this up and clip it, but you never wanna do that on a real client. You want it to stay. And then I'm gonna take my drape and come right along, you know, the neck strip, because right now the towel's underneath my neck strip. So my neck strip's on top. And put that on there. And then I'm going to take my second towel and just place it around their shoulders. Always go from the back. I see people come from the front like this and go to clip it. Look good that's gonna do. That's like putting a bib on them. They don't need that. They need the bib in the back to catch the drips and things like that could happen. So come from the back. Of course, don't twist it, right? You wanna just lay it across and clip it. Okay. Now this way with the clips, if they move, it's not gonna fall off, right? It's still gonna stay on them. The client moves around, you know, you're right in the middle of, let's say you're doing a perm, they've got the rods all in, they're processing, all of a sudden your client has to go to the bathroom. Oh yeah, you know, I need to go use the restroom. Well, what are you gonna do with all of this stuff on your client? Well, you're gonna have her lift everything up, you know, and go into the restroom. Because if you take it off, it defeats the whole purpose, especially with a chemical, right? This is why you do double drape for a chemical. It's just gonna come right off into their clothing and stuff like that. So that's a double drape. Do we have any questions on double draping? Remember, the biggest thing with the double drape is that double draping is only for chemical services. So now we do a single drape. A single drape is just that. You use the Stunnick strip and you use the drape. Now, if you want to put a towel around their shoulders, you can put it up on their head like this, grab these bottom corners around here, and do it that way, right? Grab the bottom corners, secure the towel. Remember when I was learning to do this, I would always grab the top corners and try to secure it underneath her neck like this. I'd always grab the top corners and try to go like that. And I was like, why can't I do this right? It's the bottom corners, okay? The bottom corners come across. The drape comes around that. Where's my, and then this comes down, okay? If you don't want to do it that way, I know it doesn't stay on the doll head, there's no shoulders. You can take the towel, wrap it around, and then clip it. I prefer the clips because like the towel just fell off like that, it always falls off the client too. But sometimes you don't have clips, so that's an alternative way to do it. Is there any questions on draping? Okay, remember this because you guys are all going to be tested on it when we come back. So remember all of this stuff. All right, so that's a single drape, double drape. Purpose of a drape is to protect the client's skin and clothing from all the chemicals, hair, everything else that might fall onto it. There's two types of draping. Single drape, double drape. Double drape is chemicals. Single drape is everything else. Okay, so it's not too hard. It does take a little bit of practice to get your draping down though, because I remember the first time I did it, yeah, we could laugh about it. Don't worry, we can laugh about it for sure. Okay, so we got our client draped up. We're getting ready to do services on her. We need to double check this scalp. So you ever went to go get your hair cut or anything done with your hair? You sit down in the chair and right away they start going, hi, you know, what are we gonna do for you today? And we're doing this kind of thing. What you're doing is you're checking the scalp for anything, cuts, abrasions, disorders, bugs, anything. You're checking the scalp. You're checking the density, right? The density is how thick this hair is at the scalp. How many or how much scalp can you see? So, you know, density definition is how many hairs per square inch of scalp. So the easiest way to describe that is when I look at this scalp, how much scalp do I see? Okay, if you see all hair and hardly any scalp, then they have like thick density. If you see mostly scalp and not too much hair, then they have thin density. Everything else is, you know, in the middle, average. So that's something else that we're looking for. We're feeling this hair. Is it smooth? Is it rough? How is it coarse? You know, is it fine? Like what are these different things that we're checking out? At the same time, we're looking at hairlines. Okay. Do they have any cowlicks? Do they have any growth patterns? You know, we're looking at the whorl in the back of the head. Is it pushing the hair off to the left, the right, going forward, coming back? You know, that's what we're looking at, how the hair grows at the scalp, at the hairline, at the nape. How much hair they actually have on their hair, you know, and then whatever they say they want a haircut. So we're checking out their hair, we're analyzing it. How much hair do we think they need cut? Because if someone's like, yeah, I just want like a trim. Okay, that's not a trim to me. That's a lot of hair, you know, or they'll be like, oh yeah, I want about an inch off. And they're like this, take up an inch. And so that's not an inch to me either. I have a ruler right here. And an inch is from the end of the ruler to, well, you can see where the inch is. The inch is right here. But there's more. Wait, were those commercials? But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. Right? What's that commercial? No, you guys ever saw this? Okay. mess and a bunch of noise over here. Because I had it on the top and then I started digging through here and then. All right, so we have these combs. This right here is known as a basic, totally basic, all-purpose styling comb with the tooth missing. Okay, I hate it when the teeth fall out. Now, one thing about this comb that makes it so much easier, and it's going to help your life out 100%, is, can you see the numbers on here? Probably not. It's probably hard to read. They go in inches. This comb is 7 inches long. There's like right there. Yeah, I doubt you can see that. It says 1. There's inches on here. So if a client's like, yeah, I just want an inch cut, you're like, oh no. An inch is like from the tip of the comb to where my finger's at. That's an inch. Okay. How much is 3 inches? You know, from the tip of the comb to where my finger is. That's 3 inches. Because there's numbers on here. This is the best invention ever with the numbers. Okay. Something else about this comb, from here to here is an inch also on the wide tooth side. On the narrow tooth side, I don't know, I've never measured it, but this side is an inch. So there's also wide teeth, small teeth, right? So you can use this for a variety of different partings, not partings, for a variety of different things. Let's say you can use this comb. So this is just like a general all-purpose comb, but the ruler is the best part. Okay, so we have our ruler. We have our client draped. We've done our consultation. We know that, you know, they just want an inch cut or whatever it is, right? So we're gonna get ready to do our shampoo. So with our shampoo, when we're taking them back, and you know, when you're doing hair, most of the time, especially if their hair is long, you know, we do a shampoo. Here at school, if you have a client and a shampoo comes free, like we don't charge people for shampoos. Whether they want to get their hair shampooed first, or they want to get their hair shampooed and blow dried, or they want to get their hair shampooed after a haircut to remove all of the little hairs that are in their hair, it's fine. We don't charge for shampoos. We want that hair clean. It's going to make our life easier. We don't want to have to comb through hairspray or comb through gel or whatever it is that they put in their hair. So it makes it so much easier when we have clean hair to cut it. Unless we're doing a clipper cut, you know, then of course we need dry hair for that. Now there are some people who want their hair cut dry. There are some people that will ask for a dry haircut, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you ever get a client that says, yeah, I want my hair cut dry, I don't want a shampoo, fine. A lot of people don't want to get their hair shampooed because they think you charge them more. Like you're going to charge them more for a haircut if you shampoo their hair. I usually just tell them, you know, you're going to get a better haircut if we can get it all evenly wet. Even dampness throughout the hair while you're doing a service is going to make it come out so much better. So shampoo it. Even if they say, oh, I already shampooed my hair and there's long hair, well, it'll make it, you'll get a better haircut or you'll get a better style if we can get it wet. So go back to the shampoo bowl. You don't have to shampoo them if they don't want it shampooed, but maybe rinse it and put conditioner in it, because you can comb through it a lot easier with conditioner too, right? So condition it. It'll make your life easier, I promise. So in order to do the shampoo, when we get ready to shampoo, you use not your fingertips. Oh, I need my nails done back. Okay, you don't use your fingertips. You use like your finger, like the pads of your fingers, kind of just go in and. Okay, so if you've never done it before, yeah, it's weird, right? And you don't want to do the surface of someone's hair like this. That would be annoying. You want to get your hands in the hair and you want to get to the scalp and you want to get that scalp scrubbed, right? You don't want to do just the surface. Now by doing, did I mess my hair all up? I feel like it's all on my face now. So by doing that, what you're going to be doing is scrubbing the scalp, right? Well, those of you that were on our chemistry class, you'll know that the scalp is most of what we want to clean. Most of the time, the hair part doesn't get super dirty. It's the scalp that gets oily and dirty, right? So we want to shampoo that scalp. We want to use our fingertips. So when we get our pads of our fingers, and you'll hear people that will tell you, get in there and really scrub my scalp because a good shampoo feels wonderful. Miss Sue, who will be part of your teacher, I have never had her shampoo my hair, and everybody rants and raves about what a great shampoo she gets. So some people like to just come get their hair shampooed, right? Because it feels good. So before we go to actually shampoo their hair, we need to brush it. Okay, we don't want to, if they have like a lot of hairspray in their hair, or if they have a lot of product in their hair, we don't want to take them back to the shampoo bowl and just put water on it. That water is like going to set that stuff in their hair and make it just like mat together, and then it's going to be really hard to tangle out. So we want to make sure that it's all detangled before we actually go back to the shampoo bowl, so brush it. Okay, when we get there, we definitely want to test the temperature of the water before we even put it on their hair, right? We feel it, we get our temperature going, we feel the temperature of the water, and then we go ahead and we wet their hair. Then we're gonna put the shampoo in our hands, and we need to distribute it through the hair. So as we go to distribute through the hair, well, can I lay this client back? No, wait, maybe. Let me see. All right, so my client's laying back in a shampoo chair, right? She's in the shampoo bowl. And I'm standing to the side over here like I would, and I'm gonna, actually let's go this way because that feels more natural for me on this side. Okay, so I'm standing over here on this side and I'm gonna be wetting the hair, right? And then I'm gonna get my shampoo. I'm gonna work it in my hands first. And as I go to apply it to the head, I'm gonna be standing like this. So I just kind of wanna pat the shampoo on. So I just take it like this, I just have a big blob of shampoo right here in the front. So I wanna pat the shampoo on and get it worked in through the hair. And then I wanna take my hands, and as I start on the side, I'm gonna come across. And what you have to be careful is that your armpit's not like this in your client's face, because that's kind of gross. I wouldn't want your armpit in my face if you were giving me a shampoo. So, or any other body part. So you want to make sure that you're kind of standing a little bit back, or if it's too awkward and you feel like you can't reach the client, switch your position and go this way with it. But you're going to come in with your hands, and I always start on the side, like right above the ear, and I'm going to come in and just kind of scrub with my fingertips on their scalp. So I'm scrubbing, all the way to the back to where my hands are gonna go like this when I come to the back. So I'm gonna go along the sides, all the way to the back till my fingers reach, and then I'm gonna come back. Now I'm gonna move up just a little bit more till my fingers meet like this again. So I'm gonna come up here now, I'm gonna come up till they meet, and then I'm gonna hold their head. So in the back, I'm gonna be holding my client's head up as I come in from the top. And I'm going to come down and shampoo this way. All the way till I hit the crown area. Come down, my fingers are here holding their head so I can hit that. And then when I get to the bottom down here, I need to make sure that I come in sideways this way. So I may have to hold my head up, take my hand from this angle and reach across going here so I can reach the back. This is the hardest area to reach. And what usually ends up happening is someone will take that water hose and go like this in this direction with the water hose. And what's happening? All this water is going right down that client's back. So it's kind of important to cup your hand, hold it like this, and reach from side to side so that you're getting underneath here. When you go to rinse it, you're holding it, you're taking your hand across their forehead, and you're just making a barrier so that the water doesn't splash and it doesn't get all over the place. When you get to the ear, you can hold a little cup area like this on the ear, rinse it this way, and the same thing. But of course, now when I'm rinsing, I'm coming from this side and cupping my hand, holding the water here so that I can reach across the back and go in from the side of the hose and go this way. My hand's cupping water so I can kind of go like this, and that's the area that's going to give you the most problem. And this is where people end up getting wet, is they take that hose and they go whoo, right down their back. Ooh, I can't stand to have a wet towel around my neck. That is the most irritating feeling to me. So, you know, get used to using your little cups and splashing the water back, you know. Sometimes clients want to help you too, and they set up. And right as they go to lift their head up, it always seems like they lift their head up at the exact time you go to spray the water, and it ends up going down their back. It happens. It's like perfect timing. You know, they always seem to want to help. So they lift their head up and they get soaked. So just tell them just to relax the head, and you'll move it where you need it to be. It'll be easier that way. Okay, so we get our hair shampooed 1 time, 2 times. If you're doing chemicals, do it twice. If you do it 1 time, like, you know, if they say, oh, I just shampooed my hair this morning, you can just give them a light shampoo, right? Just come in and lightly shampoo their hair, you know, rinse it off. Conditioner time. Conditioner, we want to just try to towel dry this hair, or not towel dry, but wring it. Like, wring as much water out as possible. Someone has extremely porous hair. Now remember, porosity is the ability of your hair to absorb water or absorb moisture. So if you have someone that's like extreme porosity, you might want to take your fingers, kind of take your fingers like this, and just kind of go in and like shake some water out of their hair. Shake it. Just keep shaking the water out. And then come back and just kind of like squeeze it out again. You want to get as most water out as you can. Because what happens is when you go to put that conditioner in, if you have all this water in their hair, you're just going to dilute it, and you're going to end up, what, just wasting it, really. So squeeze it, get that water out. Take your conditioner. Now with the shampoo, we kind of went like this, and we put it all through the hair. With the conditioner now, what we want to do is start from the ends and work our way to the scalp. So we're going to start in the back, or where the hair feels, because after you shampoo your hair, you can feel where it's the roughest, right? My hair, every time I shampoo it, right here. I always feel like I need conditioner, like right here, more than any other place. Just this little spot right here above my ear, than any other place on my whole head. So you can feel it, right? You can feel someone's hair. So take that conditioner, kind of do the same thing. Now just sort of start from the ends and work up towards the scalp. Okay, start at the bottom, work your way towards the scalp with the conditioner. Once you get it all distributed on, then you can take your fingers, and I just kind of run it through like this, and just kind of run it through. It just sort of helps to tangle it a little bit, and it's, you know, distributing the product a little bit more. So just run it through, get that tangle going off of there, and then you can rinse it. Know your product though. Does that product tell you to leave it on 1 to 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes? Like, what's it say? Know what that product is. From there, you could rinse it, take your towel, right? If you carried your towel back with you, your client's straight, you take your towel, drape it around the head, you know, set your, whoop, not like that. Set your client up, don't take their head off. And you can have them just sit there for a second, or you can ask them to go back to your shampoo bowl, either way. During this time, what you're doing is, I would just ask them, just sit here for a second while I clean my mess up. What you're doing is, you're cleaning all the hair out of that trap in that shampoo bowl. You're rinsing all those soap suds out. You're taking your disinfectant spray, you're spraying it in the shampoo bowl, and you're getting a paper towel and you're wiping all of that, you know, disinfectant spray out. Soap scum left in, or soap suds, which turns into scum, I guess, if it's left in the shampoo bowl, and that hair that's in the, you know, the little drain trap, it's disgusting. Okay, that is disgusting. Get that cleaned out for the very next person that's going to come along behind you. Because for one, not only is it disgusting, but it's rude. If you don't clean up after yourself, it's just plain rude.
And a skateboard finds you.
And a skateboard will find you.
Piece of hair.
Yeah.
Small, even debris. You always want to do the inside. What we learned is to wipe the inside of the bowl with like a paper towel instead of using one of these cloths. Because even if they find a
piece of fabric,
they'll fine you.
And we do not want to get fined. And that's, I think that's a $50 fine per each shampoo bowl that they find. So if you're working in a shop and there's 5 shampoo bowls, you got $250. If you're the owner, you get the same fine.
And I think for pedicure bowls, it's 500.
Yeah, pedicures are always more because anything that has to do with nails and feet, it always seems to be a little bit of a higher fine. But still, I mean, who wants a fine? We don't want to, I don't want a fine. We don't want a fine, right? We do not want a fine. Okay, it is 2:51. Do we have any questions? No? Okay, let's go ahead and come back up to like 3:03, let's say. I don't know. Let's come back at 3 and we'll take our break right now and we will come back. And where the heck is, why are we, oh. Okay, we're back from our break. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull some slides up and I'm gonna show you a few different parting patterns here and how we're actually going to achieve these parting patterns without scratching somebody's scalp to get the partings clean and even. Now, when we say parting, most people think parting, big deal. It's just a part. It's just a sectioning. It's just a parting. I cannot tell you how important it is for you guys to be able to part straight. Okay, I still can't do it, but it is very important to have a neat and clean parting. This is the only way that you're going to be able to divide that head into workable sections. And it may take you a few times to get a nice, clean parting. So let me pull this up and I'm going to show you some of the common areas that we use. And where's it at? Here it is. And how we actually use it. So when we talk about sectioning, like I said, it's for dividing the hair into workable areas. We want to control the hair. We don't want the hair to control us. We don't want to have to fight with the areas that we're trying to control on the head. We want the hair to do what we want it to do. And the only way to do that is sectioning. Now, the most common is 4, but if you need 10, do 10. Okay, that's a little exaggerating right there, but you know, just to give you an idea, do however many you need. So there's certain areas of the head that we work on. Okay, so you have the top, okay, the top of your head. Now, most of you think that the top of your head is probably from your hairline to the back of your head back here, but that's not exactly true. It is true because it's the whole top of your head. But there's different areas in the top. So if I was to take this comb here, and I put the comb like this, where the comb balances, that's the highest part on the top of your head. That is called the apex, the A-P-E-X. Okay. Usually it corresponds with right behind the ear. Not always, because depending on if the ears are farther forward than one or farther back than the other, it doesn't always correspond with it, but it's sort of in the general vicinity of behind the ear. If I took my comb here from the apex and brought it out, and took this comb right here, smashed it to the side, where those two combs meet, that is known as your parietal ridge. This is where the head, from the top, it sort of rounds right here. It's got this little rounding area right here, and that's what it is. That's your dividing area from the top to the sides. It's right where it starts to round. Now again, it's not always perfectly shaped, depending on the shape of the person's head. Okay. From the apex, you go about an inch forward. So if I was to put this here, and go about an inch forward using my comb. Right about here is where I would section out for fringe, wether or bangs. Whether I do, this is an average. Now, if someone wants it thicker, they want it thinner, you know, customize it for your client, but this is the area that is like a fringe area or a bang area. It would be kind of like right here in the front. You never want to go past any lower than the recession area where that goes back, but This would be sort of like a fringe area. Whether I took it triangular, whether I took it round, square, whatever they want, that's customizing it, but that's where you start, about 1 inch in front of that for your fringe. Okay, we have the interior. That's the top of the head. We have the crest. That's the widest portion of the head. And then we have the exterior. This is all of the area below the crest. So if you're like, oh, I can't remember which is interior and which is exterior, put a cap on this head. Anything that sits inside this cap is the interior. Anything that's exiting this cap is the exterior. Where the cap sits, that's the crest. Now, it's not exactly those dimensions and those measurements, but that's close and it'll help you remember. We get to the back of the head right here, this area where this head's the widest, that's the crest, right? Follow it around to the front. And that's some of these workable areas. Depending on what you're doing, you may divide it into all of them. Okay. So these are some other areas. The crown, very back of the head. The sides, pretty easy, right? The back, pretty easy. The occipital, this bone, reach in the back of your head and you feel that bone back there. It's kind of sticking out right about the middle of your head. That's your occipital bone. That's considered to be one of the most important bones in this industry. Below that is the nape. Okay, so these are some of the areas that people are going to be talking about when you read like technical guides for styling, you're reading technical guides for sculpting, they're going to refer to this. Now, if a client walks in and they say the top, they're just talking about the whole top, the sides and the back. That's all clients see, top, sides, and back. Clients don't really know. I mean, they know the crown, but they don't really know the apex. They don't really know the occipital. They know what a nape is, though. But I don't think they're ever going to use that in describing how they want their hair cut. Just in the back on the bottom, you know, you might hear that, or how they want their hair styled. In the back, on the bottom. Okay. So when you go to part the hair, and we're going to go from ear to ear and from front to back, right? So as we come in right down the center, when we take our comb, we don't want to put it like this and come back on the scalp like that. That could scratch somebody's scalp. And if you're going to be doing a chemical service, you really don't want to go like this because you're going to scratch someone. So one of the easiest ways to do it is lay it flat. Use your finger like let down, take your other, come back again, and pull it apart. Just work in like 1 inch increments right now, and then when you get really good, you can do the whole thing in one swipe. Come back here in the crown where I'm at. Take my comb, lay it flat, bring it down, separate it. Lay it flat on the scalp, bring it down, separate it. Lay it flat on the scalp, bring it down, and separate it. All right, and there you go. Now you have a clean parting. Now, when you go to part behind your ears, if I have my finger over here and I take this finger is gonna find this finger. No matter where I put them, my fingers are always gonna find each other. So if I take my finger and put it right behind the ear, touching the top of the ear, and I take my comb flat on the head and I bring it straight down, my fingers just found each other. And now I have one section. Two sections. Great, sanitize that. So remember, if you drop something, pick it up, you put it in your soil container, you sanitize your hands, and you get another one. Okay. Over here on this side now, touching the top of the ear, finding where I made my last part because they should be, doll heads are perfect, right? You're gonna find the same parting on each side. People, not so much. So if you're off going from ear to ear on the top by a little bit, it's okay. Just don't be off by a lot. And I almost did it again and shot that thing right across the room. Get done with this, I have my four sections, which this is, oh, the front's not very straight, but this is the most common parting pattern. The perimeter is just around the hairline. This is the one that you're gonna do more than anything, okay? So this is the most common parting pattern out there. Okay, so any questions about parting? If you have a doll head or a sister or brother or mom or somebody in your household that has hair long enough to practice some parting patterns on, practice that. Or if you have a doll, because I know some of you have dolls. You part no matter what you do. Even if you're just visually looking at the hair, if it's really short and you can't put a clip in it, and I'm just visually looking at it, let's say I'm gonna do a clipper cut and I'm getting ready to do like, I don't know, like a zero fade, right? I'm still gonna have some type of visual parting pattern. I'm still gonna say like, okay, my zero is gonna go to like right here. I'm gonna do, half, 1 to 1.5. Once I get to 1.5, that's long enough. I can do clipper over comb, blend it up to the top, and then cut the top with shears, right? And I've planned my attack. So I'm going around the head, looking at the bone structure, looking at what I'm trying to do so I can get in there and just whip it out and get out of there as fast as possible. Get them out so I can get the next person in my chair and make that money. So that's another thing that you can do for sectioning. You're always sectioning, no matter what. So there's 8 bones in the head. You only have to memorize. Let's see. You only have to know your parietal, your frontal, your parietal, your occipital, your nape, and your temporal. So what is that? 4. You only have to memorize 4 bones and where they're at on the head and how they're shaped. And that's really important when it comes to cutting and styling, to remember just where those 4s are located and the shape of them, because then you're going to be able to get a better style in the end. For sure. All right, so we have no questions. On parting?
So Starbucks, you need to go on that panel now.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear them, but they're funny over the loudspeaker. All right, so a scalp treatment. Anyone ever had one? No. So I can pretty much promise you, because I went to beauty college in the 80s, a long time ago, right? And we learned them then. So I can pretty much promise you that anybody that's ever went to beauty college in your lifetime knows what a scalp treatment is. Okay. People don't do them out there. But this is a good way to make a little bit of extra money fast. Okay. Purpose of this is to preserve the health of the scalp, to increase blood circulation, stimulate oil glands, and soothe nerves. I'm telling you right now, this feels fantastic. It feels so good on your head. You have a headache, you're stressed, whatever the reason is, you have a client that's feeling out and they're just like, oh, you give them a scalp treatment, they're gonna be in love with you. You might even get a big fat tip, right? So what it includes is it includes scientific brushing and some scalp manipulations. A little bit of a massage, brush your hair, get it stimulated, feels really good. What we're gonna use is like a natural bristle brush. What this brush is going to do is it's gonna like scrape pretty much the dead scalp off your head. and just kind of distribute that oil that's already built up on your scalp through the ends of your hair. Have you ever heard that before you go to bed at night, this is like an olden day thing, but they used to say, brush your hair 100 times before you go to bed at night? Have you ever heard that? No? Okay. Well,
I did.
Oh, Brenda did. Okay. Alexis did. So it's a thing. It's been around forever too. The whole purpose of that was for scalp health, right? People have dry scalp, people have dandruff, people have all kinds of like scalp disorders like psoriasis, they get eczema. There's a few others, you know, out there, but this will help with the scalp health. This will help loosen up any dead skin cells you might have on there. Distribute that oil from your scalp out through your hair, and actually, like I said, it feels really good. Anyone ever want to practice this? I'm down to be a model because it feels good. Jasmine's like, I do. Yay. It's just like it feels good. All right. So you get your basic 4 sections. You want to use a natural bristle brush. And I do like to use a tail comb just because I like to part with it. That's the only reason I want to use a tail comb. You can use any other type of comb, but I just like to part with this, so it just makes it easier. I also like to take my tail, my comb, and kind of hold it like this. Just kind of have the tail sticking out a little bit more, put the back of the comb up against the brush, and just kind of hold it in my hand like this, just because, maybe a little bit farther down, just because I think it's easier. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start at the front hairline, and we're going to use 1/2 inch partings, and we're going to keep the bristles facing us, and we're just going to kind of brush like this, rolling motion up the scalp. As we do that, we're going to just brush the scalp all the way out through the ends of the hair. We can do this on the whole head. Once we complete the brushing of the hair, we can actually go into a little bit of a scalp massage. Okay, so we've got our brush. We've got our girl. We'll start at the front hairline. I'm going to drop this section down. I'm going to use my tail portion now, and I'm going to come in right here, and I'm just going to part about 1/2 inch. I'm going to take my brush with my bristles facing me, making sure that I touch the scalp, and I'm just going to brush it out to the ends 3 times. Making sure that I touch that scalp. Get my next portion. Everything's done in 3s, just to let you know. And that section would be done. Now, you can do this slower on a client. It might feel a little bit better to them, but you know, I'm in demo mode, so. And I'm probably taking bigger than 1/2 inch sections too. Now remember, this is called scientific brushing. Now, before you do this, though, you really want to thoroughly analyze this scalp, because let's say someone has psoriasis and they've been scratching at it and it looks a little irritated. You know, we don't want to do this over their scalp if it's irritated. So we want to make sure that their scalp is, you know, in good shape. This used to be a thing. If we go back to the days where women all had long hair, let's say 1800s, you know, all women had long hair then, and they were not shampooing their hair every single day, you know. So if they only wash their hair, say, once a week, then you would have a lot of buildup by that time. So this was a big thing about taking your brush and brushing your hair 100 times before you went to bed, because it would keep your, I would distribute the oil through, keep your scalp health going on, and with the oil going through the hair, it would actually make it shiny. And then I just move to my last section.
So, Miss Connie,
Yes.
is Miss Serena still working?
We'll talk about that later.
All right, that works.
I can't give you information about anyone. Okay, so when you get all done with this, you know, they should be relaxed. Like, oh, that feels so good. So now we can do some scalp manipulations. Again, it's done with, you know, like the pads of our fingers or our hands. So we're gonna do what's known as like effleurage. This is what it's called. That's what the massage technique is called, is effleurage, which is just a light stroking movement. We're also gonna do some friction, which is just gonna be in the form of like little circles, which is a little bit more, not really vigorous, but it's a little bit more stimulating. Okay, so the whole purpose of this, right, is to stimulate the scalp. So if someone has thinning hair also, it could actually stimulate those follicles so that maybe their hair would grow back a little bit thicker. So as we start in the front, I'm gonna use the same type of thing like I would with the shampoo, but I'm gonna come in at the scalp and I'm gonna come from the back of the head. Now, and my hands are gonna work like this, going up and down the scalp. So as I come in and underneath in the back, I'm gonna bring my hands up till they meet, bring them back down, bring them up, bring them back down 3 times. Remember, everything's done in 3s. Up and bring them back down. Then we move to the sides. And I'm gonna go up to the top, bring it back down. And it's just very light, just to get kind of worked up. And there's a lot of different manipulations for this. So this is just one of them. I'm gonna go from behind the ear, same thing up to the top, go back down, go back up to the top, and back down. And then I'm gonna come back in the front now, and I'm gonna start doing little circles on the scalp. Till my fingers hit the top of the head, and slide back down. Come back up underneath. And slide back down. Come back up underneath. Slide back down. Someone was saying like, oh, I have a headache, my temples hurt. I could take a little bit of extra seconds and just sort of rub in the temple area, you know. And then I'm going to come to the back behind the ear, and I'm going to do the same thing. Little circles coming up. I reach the top of the head, slide back down. That's 2, or that's 1. Come up again. That's 2. Come up again. And that's 3. Now when I get down to the bottom down here, now I'm going to use my thumbs. Now when I come in with my thumbs, like along each, not the spine, but like where the spine is at, coming up the head, and I'm going to put my hands like up, and I'm going to use my thumbs, and I'm just going to be pushing these little circles. Doing the same thing in the back of the head, slide back down. And then after I do that 3 times, I'm gonna move out a little bit more, still using my thumbs. You know, you gotta figure, I have this section of the head right here. So I'm probably gonna go 1, 2, 3, using my thumbs. Using my thumbs. Okay, so thumbs up again over here. I get behind the ear. And at the same time, you can take these fingers and just sort of, because you're putting most pressure with your thumbs, you just kind of letting those do that effleurage on the sides of the scalp. It's very soothing. Okay, and then I want to come in from the front, and I kind of want to give a little bit more up in here. I'm just using my fingers and just sort of giving a little bit more with the friction. Doing friction to the crown area, and then I'm like effleurage it back. Friction up to my crown area, and effleurage it back. You could even bring this hand up. You could customize it. You know, now when you're finished all together, you want to come back and brush it back out again because you may have added some tangles to it. So you just kind of want to go through, fold the hair and brush it out, because now we're getting ready to shampoo. Now we're going to need to shampoo because we just loosened up all that dead stuff on the scalp. Just brought out all that dead yucky stuff, right? So we're getting ready to get it out here. I got a big knot in our hair right here. Brush it out. Or my client has what kind of drape? Yes, a single drape. And we're gonna get back to the shampoo bowl and we're gonna get ready to shampoo. Now, depending on the type of hair and the type of scalp that my client has will determine the next step in my treatment. So let's say someone has oily scalp, right? I'm going to shampoo the hair with a shampoo made for oily scalp. Then I may take like an astringent, let's say some sea breeze, and actually, you know, like squirt it on the scalp and do not rinse it. Or I could use a cotton ball and dab it on some areas, you know, just something that's going to help dry up that oil, or maybe it's oily and itchy. You know, sea breeze will help with that. Okay, so shampoo, condition, and then run some sea breeze through it. If my client's hair is like super dry, but their scalp is oily, I might put maybe a 5-minute conditioner on the ends while I'm running the sea breeze through their scalp, and then rinse that conditioner off at the ends of their hair. So we got to think about the client's hair, what we should have already done in the beginning of our analysis, and then what type of treatment do they need. Let's say my client's hair, her scalp's really dry. It's really super dry and super flaky. And I just brushed it all out, and all that flake is just, it's like snow, you know, coming off of her head. So I could use a scalp moisturizer. They make one called cholesterol. It's pretty thick, it's pretty greasy. But what if that makes her hair too greasy? Like, we got to think about what we're doing with our client. Could put it in a plastic cap, place the client under a dryer for about 10 minutes or so, give some scalp manipulations with this conditioner on her hair, and then rinse it out. Maybe do a light shampoo if it seems like it's going to be too oily. So we got to think about that. Now, what does our client have? So you all know how to analyze your hair. What type of hair do you think you have? Okay, first of all, is your hair dry and your scalp oily? Or is your scalp dry and your hair is normal? Is it color treated? Do you have breakage? Is it fine? Is it coarse? Do you have, you know, thick density, thin density? You know, analyze yourself. Take a minute and think about what you got there. Jocelyn, real quick, did you get a haircut? Okay, I thought you looked a little different. I was like, who is that? But sometimes I only see like half your face. So, oh, it's cute. So yeah, sometimes I only see half of people's faces or just their forehead, so I don't really see all of their hair. So I just wasn't quite sure, but all right, cute. Okay, so now go ahead and analyze yourself. Take a minute and see what you think, what type of hair you think you have. Okay, so now that you've analyzed yourself and however old you are, that's how many years you've been dealing with your hair, right? So I'm sure that from the time that you were a child, like say 6, most people can remember 6, you know, from the time you were 6 till the time you were whatever age you are now, that your hair has changed, right? It's probably gotten darker. Sure, it's gotten a lot thicker, unless you've put color on it, then it's gotten lighter. If you colored it lighter, but I mean, it's changed a little bit. Your whole body's changed from the time you were 6 till the age you are right now, right? Everything has changed about you. So think about your hair and the changes that your hair has went through from the time you were 6 till the age you are now. And then, because sometimes, you know, sometimes kids have gray hair. Have you ever seen a kid with gray hair? I have, like patches of gray hair, not gray hair like, you know, an 80-year-old person, but let's say this kid's like 10 and he's got this, you know, right here, just like a few grays, over here, a few grays, or maybe a few grays scattered throughout. But yeah, gray hair, like you don't have to be old to have gray hair. I mean, it's more prevalent when you get a little bit older, but you can have gray hair when you're younger. So think about the way your hair grew too. You know, most little kids have hair that sticks up in the back, or, you know, it's real thin in the front or something like that. And now you don't have that anymore, right? Because your hair is thicker and it's longer. So let's think about your hair and what you want to change about it. Most people are like, oh, I want my hair straighter, I want my hair curlier, I want my hair longer or thicker or thinner, or, you know, something. Somebody always wants something different than what they have. I do find people once in a while, they're like, no, I like my hair, I wouldn't change it, but not very often. So now with these scalp treatments, there are all kinds of home remedies out there on the internet. I mean, you look up there, just look up, you know, home remedy for dry scalp, and you're going to find something. So what I want you to do now that you've analyzed yourself is look up a home remedy. Okay, find something, write it out, text it into us. That's your assignment for today. Is just find a home remedy for your hair, what you would do. Like, would you shampoo it first? Would you put it on dry hair? Would you brush your hair first? Like, what would you do? What would the steps be if you were going to actually do this to yourself? And if you want to make it and do it to yourself, go for it, you know, but find it and write it out and text it into us with all the steps of what you would do first. Okay, so
I'm sorry. Home remedy for what again?
for your scalp, what your scalp treatment would be.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So whatever your scalp would be, that would be your homework for today. So just, you know, would you do scientific brushing first? Like whatever you would do to give yourself a scalp treatment. Now I've been doing this, I really want to get one. I want a massage, I want a chiropractor, I want a pedicure, I want it all. Okay, so look at Lorena's like, yep, I want a pedicure too. Yep, I know. I can't wait till they get open up again. So do we have any questions so far? So everyone's clear on get your home remedy for your scalp treatment. Yeah? Okay, great.
So this can be like a scalp treatment from the internet, like do it yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, like a DIY thing. Yeah. So like right now, okay, let's see, let me grab my phone here. If I was just to Google, let me get Google up here. If I was to sit here and Google, let's see, home remedy for dry scalp and hair treatment. So let's see. Here's first thing. No, I don't want to add. I want to find an actual one. Okay. So this is from like Healthline. It says 9 home remedies to get rid of dandruff naturally. Okay. So let's see what we got. Tea tree oil. And then it's saying, gives you the, like, why they say that could work, right? Coconut oil, multiple benefits of health. A study of 34 people showed that coconut oil was effective as a mineral oil in improving skin hydration. Other researchers found that coconut oil could aid in the treatment of eczema, a skin condition that may contribute to dandruff. One study compared the effects of coconut oil and mineral oil on atopic dermatitis, a type of eczema characterized by itching and inflammation. Applying coconut oil to the skin for 8 weeks reduced symptoms by 68%. And then it goes on and on about, you know, coconut oil. So if I was going to use coconut oil, right, and it says all these good things, where would I put it? I would shampoo my hair. You know, would I apply it with using fingers? Would you apply coconut oil? Would you use a brush and brush it through your hair? You know, how would you apply that to your hair? How long would you leave it on? Would you shampoo it out? Would you rinse it out? You know, what would you do with your coconut oil if I was going to use that? Here's another one, aloe vera. I drink aloe vera juice actually. And it's just talking about other things that you could use for like potential dry scalp home remedy. But it's just telling you what to use. It's not telling you how to use it. So I want to know how you would use it, what you would use, and how you would use it. Okay, you know, is it a one time? Would you do it once a week? You know, what would you do for these things? Okay, so that's just an example. I'm sure you guys could find all kinds of great little things out there. Because I know if you look up like facial treatments, you're gonna find recipes like half a banana and a cup of yogurt, mash it together and put it on your face, you know, kind of a thing. There's all kinds of home remedies out there for facial treatment. So pretty sure there's even the same thing out there for hair. Okay, so those are some things that, that's your homework assignment. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, do we have that? Yeah. Well, okay. So, any questions out there? No one has any questions?
Where are we sending that in?
Oh, so the number to text is a 526-2040. It's the main number for the school. So if you didn't get that, just look up the number for Adrian's Beauty College and it's the number you're going to text to. You can call that number and okay, you can call or text. It works for both. It's one of those. All right, let me get this video, not video. Let me get the screen back up. Give me a second here to pull this up. Can you still see me when I do this, or does the screen go blank?
We can see you.
Okay. Because I'm like, make faces or something. Yeah, not so much. You know, I talk to myself a lot when I do this, so I better try not to make faces. gosh, come on. Okay, so just to kind of review a little bit here on the shampooing. Where are we at? Here we are. Okay. Oh, it's too small. Okay, so shampoo, what does it do? It removes dirt, oil, and product buildup, while conditioners are going to fortify your damaged areas. Right, that's about all it does. So make sure that when you choose a shampoo that you use one for your hair type. Now, I don't know when the last time you guys went to buy shampoo was, but if you went to like, let's use Walmart for an example, and walk down their shampoo aisle, you're probably gonna find about, I don't know, 100 different kinds of shampoo out there. If you go to like Cosmoprof or Sally's, okay, so Walmart is just retail products. There's nothing professional about their products unless you get the ones that are only sold and like supposed to be only sold by professionals. If you go to like Sally's, you're gonna find some retail and some professional products in there. If you go to places like Cosmoprof or Salon Centric, you're gonna find the professional products. The biggest difference are the ingredients, of course, and the concentration of the ingredients. So if you were with us for chemistry, you know, everything is gonna be water, but what comes in after water? What are the next, you know, active ingredients after water? So it's really important, you know, like I've said 100 times, to know your products and to know what products, you know, contain which ingredients for what type of problem. So let's say I get a shampoo for oily hair myself, and I'm using it for, you know, I don't know, let's say I'm using it for 2 weeks. And my scalp gets super irritated and itchy and just feels like I got little things crawling all over my scalp and everything. That would not be the shampoo for me, right? Because my hair is not oily, my hair is dry. So I'd be drying it out too much, which could lead to more problems. I've seen people, which just cracks me up, but I've seen people that use like a bar of soap to shampoo their hair. And that just, to me, is leading to problems. You know, oh, my scalp itches all the time. Well, use a good shampoo, you know, use something that's for you. So, you know, we always have to make sure that we use the right amount of shampoo. Also, know what kind of water you have. We have soft water, we have hard water. Here in Modesto, we have hard water. But if I'm at my house and I go to, who's the first person I see on here? I go to Jasmine's house. We could have 2 totally different types of water, even though we still live in the same city. So most water that we have around here is hard water, but how hard? If you live out in the country and you have like a well, your well water, it's usually a little bit harder than city water because the city will treat their water with stuff to kind of soften it up just a little bit, but they might put minerals in it like chlorine or something in the water. But most of us have hard water. Soft water, if you live in the mountains, you probably have kind of soft water. If you have a water softener, you have soft water. But here's the difference in the hard water and the soft water. Oh, rainwater too is soft water. You're gonna get a lot more lather with the soft water than you are with the hard water. And we all think that if we don't have bubbles, we're not clean, right? If you get a shampoo or you get a soap or something and it doesn't bubble up, it didn't work, which is not true, okay? There are some shampoos that don't even bubble at all. They don't lather up at all. So just know the product, right? We need to, some of the more concentrated products will not lather very well at all. And that's okay, they still work. They're just really more concentrated. So you don't have to use as much. You don't get the bubbles, you know, they work pretty good. So just remember to always test the water, know what kind of water you have, know what kind of shampoo it's recommended for. You know, we're going to brush the hair. We talked about that to remove our tangles, to increase our blood circulation, to remove our dust, dirt in our product. You know, brushing your hair prior to any chemical service though could not be good, because you could scratch the scalp. So if they're having a chemical service, you do need to brush their hair, but we just need to lightly brush it so we don't scratch the scalp. Tangles. Yeah, let's talk about that. If someone has a tangle, start at the bottom and work your way towards the top. I know many of us, and I'm one included, if I have a tangle underneath my hair like this, I'm just going to go like this and take my brush and just go like that and rip that tangle right out of my head. What is that doing? It's breaking off all the hair underneath, and you're going to have uneven hair down there. So if you have a tangle, start at the bottom, take a small section, start at the bottom combing and work your way up. When your hair is wet, only use a comb or a pick, a wide tooth comb, or you could use a wet brush because that's what they're made for. But like a brush like this and wet hair, no, no, no. A vent brush and wet hair, don't do it. When your hair is wet, it stretches out like half of what it is when it's dry, maybe even more if your hair is curly. So we want to make sure that we gently remove those tangles, because it's only going to stretch so far and then it's going to break. So, you know, rubber band only stretches so far and then it breaks, right? So your hair is only going to stretch so far before it's broke. And we don't want broken off hair. We don't want to break anyone's hair off. So we do want to make sure that we start from the bottom and work our way up towards the top. We're going to remove the tangles. We're going to blend the sections together, and we're just going to get the hair nice and combed out. Okay, if your hair falls, are a lot of bar soaps made for that bad to use? Yeah, bar soaps are not made for your hair. Remember, your hair and your skin have a pH of a 4.5 to a 5.5. A lot of these bar soaps are a little bit more higher in pH, talking about like, you know, a 10 or so. So that's not exactly made to be using on your hair. I mean, there are shampoos that do come in a bar. I've seen them. So, I mean, if they're made for that, that's fine. The shampoos are made a little bit differently than a soap to use on your body. Okay, it's all about the chemistry and the molecular structure and all of that. So yeah, they're not made to be used on your hair. Remember, you're gonna lose a certain amount of hair per day. And you know, if you're losing more and you're starting noticing that your scalp is showing more and you've been using bar soap, that could be a good indication that you either need to stop using that or see a doctor. When we get ready to do the massage, we talked about that. So remember that the massage will increase blood circulation, help you relax. Just feels really good. But don't do a big massage prior to a chemical service, or you could be causing them to scratch their head. Okay, we talked about keeping your rhythm. Do not break contact throughout the massage. If you have to walk away or something, okay, let's think about this. If you're sitting there and you've got your eyes closed, and you're just like, oh, that feels so good. And that client leaves. I mean, not the client, the stylist walks away and you're still sitting there with your eyes closed. If they come back and they touch you again, you're probably gonna jump. It's probably gonna scare you. So if you need to reach out to grab something, try to keep one contact with one hand touching them somewhere. That way, when you come back and start touching them again, it's not so much of a shock. Also, hard to do stuff with long nails, I think anyways. I mean, I like to have my nails done, but I don't, right now they're way too long, they get in my way. So keep them filed nicely so that you don't scratch or get caught on things. That's never fun. You don't need to know that part right now. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so we kind of went over that again. So does anyone have any questions? No questions. Okay, Evie, I saw you get on. I didn't even know you were here. All right. All right, so we'll just call an end for today. So go ahead and do your scalp treatments and then just text them into us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.